You did not find this by accident. Something guided you here, something older than time, something that knows the quiet ache in your heart. As you hear these words, you may feel it already, that soft pull beneath your ribs, as if the universe is whispering, this is for you. Not for the world, not for the curious, but for the one whose soul has carried emotions too vast to explain. For the one who has been soft on the outside and storming within. This message has waited patiently for you to remember who you are. They say the moon has favorites. And if that is true, Cancer is her chosen child. Born under the shifting tides of emotion, Cancer is not merely ruled by the moon, it embodies her. Soft light, sacred waters, and secrets hidden beneath the surface. There's a divine tenderness to this sign. A gentleness that wraps around others like a warm tide at midnight. But what most people miss, what even Cancers often do not realize, is the power that lives beneath that softness. Because the same ocean that soothes can also drown. And the same shell that offers shelter can also close off the world. You were drawn to this message for a reason. This is not a coincidence. Cancer's light is beautiful, but its shadow is ancient. It is karmic, it is deep, and it is often denied. So the question rises like the moon itself. How can the zodiac's nurturer also be its most dangerous protector? Why does the sign of home, memory, and love also carry sharp claws hidden beneath sacred water? Because light alone cannot reveal the full truth. Only when we step into the dark do we finally begin to see. Of all the zodiac signs, Cancer is often seen as the heart, the nurturer, the one who remembers everyone's birthday, who texts to ask if you ate, who offers a safe space in a world that can be cold and unkind. To the outside world, Cancer appears gentle, almost fragile, empathic to the point of breaking. The one who absorbs everyone's pain but speaks so little of their own. A walking sanctuary. A healer wrapped in moonlight. People come to Cancer when they are lost, when the world has bruised them, when they need to be held, not with arms, but with understanding. And Cancer offers this willingly, as if it were their soul's purpose. Their homes feel like altars. Their voices carry the warmth of memory. They feel you without needing words, and often love you long before you realize it. Their intuition is not learned. It is ancient, but behind every soft smile is something the world does not see. Because no one ever asks what protects the protector. No one wonders where the healer puts their own pain. Cancer does not just feel deeply, it remembers deeply. And memory for Cancer is sacred and dangerous. Each heartbreak is stored like a pearl inside their shell. Shiny, hidden, sharp, they never forget. Not because they hold grudges, but because every wound carves itself into the water of their being. The world calls them too sensitive, too emotional, too much. But sensitivity is not weakness. In Cancer, it is intelligence. A spiritual radar tuned to the frequencies others miss. They sense shifts in energy before words are even spoken. They feel betrayal before it happens. They see through smiles. And sometimes, they sting without warning. Because what the world calls moodiness is often ancient self-protection. What seems like retreat is a sacred ritual of restoration. And what appears soft may be divinely sharp. So here lies the contradiction. The sign most associated with love, home, and nurturing may also be the one carrying a silent storm. Most never see it. They never think to look beneath the shell. But if they did, they would find something sacred. Something wounded, something watching. And what the world does not realize is this: Cancer's sting is not cruel. It is holy. There are souls who arrive on this earth, not just to live, but to remember, to carry something older than their name. Cancer is one of those souls. Born under the moon's watery gaze, Cancer is tied to the past in a way few can comprehend. It does not begin with childhood, it begins long before. This sign is a keeper of karmic tides, the quiet emotional undercurrents passed down through generations like sacred, invisible threads. Many Cancers do not know why they cry so easily, why certain places feel haunted, why the sadness of others clings to their spirit like fog. But the truth is written in their soul contract. They are the chosen emotional sponge for their bloodline, the healer of unspoken wounds, the one who says, "Give it to me, I will carry it." This is not weakness. This is divine assignment. Cancer often grows up feeling older than their age. They sense tension in rooms before anyone speaks. They feel their mother's sorrow before she even names it. They dream of people they have never met and wake up with a heart heavy from lives they have never lived. Because Cancer does not just feel their own emotions, they absorb what others deny. Pain moves to them like water finding its natural basin. It is a beautiful gift, but also a dangerous one. This is where the shadow begins. When a soul agrees to carry what was never theirs to hold, it eventually must protect itself. And so, Cancer develops the shell. The mood shifts. The retreat. The sting. It is not because they are cold, it is because they are full. Full of ancestral grief, full of karmic memory, full of unprocessed emotion that no one else was willing to face. Most people do not understand this part of Cancer. They see the caregiver, the emotional nurturer, but they do not see the ancient contract signed before this lifetime even began. They do not realize that Cancer is often the one holding back generations of tears so others can finally feel free. But the universe does not forget, and divine timing always arrives. If you are a Cancer, if you feel this to your core, know that you were not sent here to suffer silently. You were chosen because your soul is strong enough to transmute pain into wisdom, to take inherited wounds and offer healing, not just to others, but to yourself. This is why the sting exists. It is not cruelty. It is boundary. It is spiritual armor crafted over lifetimes. And in this lifetime, it may finally be time to lay some of it down. You are not here to drown in the emotions of your ancestors. You are here to alchemize them. And if you are still listening, this is not a coincidence. Your soul is ready. The tide is shifting. And the moon is watching. Love is sacred to Cancer. It is not casual. It is not temporary. It is a promise made with the heart, sealed with emotion, and often tied to deep, unspoken vows. But when love becomes survival, when nurturing becomes identity, something in Cancer begins to twist, not out of malice, but out of fear. Out of the quiet terror that love might leave, that home might be taken, that their emotional offering might not be enough. And so the shadow begins to emerge. It does not scream. It whispers, it withdraws. It clings silently, hoping someone will notice the shift without having to explain. Cancer, in its shadow, becomes the martyr. The one who gives too much, then grows resentful when no one sees the sacrifice. The one who nurtures, but secretly tallies the cost. The one who offers love, but expects loyalty in return and feels wounded when it does not come in the same shape. This is not evil. This is pain trying to protect itself. Emotional manipulation is rarely intentional in Cancer. It shows up as guilt-laced language. "After all I've done for you," or "It's fine, I'll just deal with it." It hides in silences that speak louder than words. In mood shifts that turn a room cold. In sudden emotional distance when boundaries feel crossed, but were never named. These are not acts of cruelty. They are the shadow expressions of a soul that learned to survive through emotional control. Cancer wants to be chosen, needed, essential. And when they feel invisible, the sting comes not with fire, but with water. A slow withdrawal, a quiet punishment. A mood that says, "I am hurt, and you should feel it too." But here's the truth. These shadows are not who you are. They are wounds wearing your face. And healing begins the moment you recognize them without shame. You were never meant to carry love like a weight. You were meant to pour it freely and receive it without fear. But that can only happen when the martyr steps down, when the silence is broken, when the need to control transforms into the willingness to trust. Yes, Cancer loves deeply. But to love without shadow, one must first look honestly at the patterns shaped by pain. What parts of you give love in order to feel safe? What part of you fears being left, so it clings too tightly? These questions are sacred. And if you are hearing this now, it means you are ready to ask them. This is not a judgment. This is a doorway. The moon is holding up a mirror, not to shame you, but to free you. Because the most powerful kind of love Cancer can offer is the kind that is no longer tethered to fear. And that begins with truth. Most people never see it coming. They know Cancer as the comforter, the gentle one, the soul who remembers your pain even when you forget your own. But beneath that tenderness is something ancient, something primal. Because when Cancer feels betrayed, abandoned, lied to, emotionally discarded, what once felt like a warm tide can suddenly become a devastating wave. This is the sting they never talk about. Cancer does not lash out without reason. It gives chance after chance, silently hoping you will sense the shift. It retreats, not to punish, but to process. But if the wound goes too deep, the claws come out. And they do not miss. Because Cancer's memory is not linear, it is emotional. Betrayal echoes in their bones. And once you are marked as unsafe, no amount of words can undo the imprint. This is not anger for the sake of drama. This is sacred rage, the kind that comes when the heart, after giving so much, feels discarded. Some Cancers withdraw completely, building emotional walls so high that even those closest to them cannot reach. Others unleash a torrent of words, sharp, precise, aimed at the places they once promised to protect. And some do both. Silence followed by the storm. This is not a tantrum. It is a breaking point. Cancer does not strike often. But when it does, it is unforgettable. And this is what most people misunderstand. They believe Cancer holds grudges out of pettiness. But that is not the truth. Cancer holds on because emotions do not just pass through, they take root. Hurt becomes memory. Memory becomes instinct. And instinct becomes defense. But there is hope here. Deep, sacred hope. Because Cancer's rage is not evil, it is unprocessed grief. It is the wounded healer begging to be seen. And when that grief is faced with compassion, not avoidance, something miraculous happens. The claws soften, the walls lower, the storm quiets. Cancer's greatest challenge is learning when to protect, and when to release, when to feel everything, and when to let it go. Because not everyone deserves access to the depth they offer. Not every wound deserves to live inside them forever. If you are a Cancer or loved one, you must understand. Their sting is not a curse. It is a signal, a soul-level cry for emotional safety. And healing does not mean becoming soft again. It means becoming strong enough to set boundaries before betrayal arrives. So if you have lashed out, if you have built walls so high, even you cannot find your way out, you are not broken. You are just ready to transform, and the moon sees you. Still, always. There comes a point in every Cancer's journey when the shell that once felt like sanctuary begins to feel like a cage. What started as sacred protection, a place to retreat, to feel, to process, can slowly harden into emotional isolation. Walls meant to keep the pain out. Start keeping the light out too. Cancer learns early how to withdraw. When the world feels too loud, too cruel, too uncertain, they slip inside their silence like a tide pulling away from the shore. It feels safe there, quiet, familiar. But over time, that withdrawal becomes reflex. Vulnerability feels dangerous. Asking for help feels shameful. Letting someone in? Terrifying. This is the shadow most never speak of. The fear of being seen in your softness. Of offering your heart again after it has been broken one too many times. So Cancer smiles, nods, retreats, and says, "I'm fine." But inside, the sacred child, the true self, aches to be held. Here lies the spiritual dilemma. Is the shell still protecting you, or is it now keeping your spirit captive? Cancer's sensitivity is not a flaw, it is a divine gift. But when pain goes unhealed, that gift turns inward. The same intuition that can sense what others need begins to sense danger in every connection. The same heart that once loved openly now whispers, "Do not trust, do not risk, do not feel," and yet, something within still longs to be free. If this speaks to you, the universe is gently calling you back to yourself, to the part of you that remembers who you were before the wound, the one who trusted without fear, the one who cried without shame, the one who believed that love could be safe. There is a ritual that may help, simple but powerful. Under a quiet night sky, with only the moon as your witness, sit in stillness, breathe deeply, and write this question in your journal. What parts of me am I protecting? That long to be free? Let the answers come without judgment. They may come in whispers, images, feelings from long ago. This is your inner child speaking, the part of you that hid when the pain became too much. And now, under the same moon that rules your soul, that child is ready to come home. Healing is not about breaking the shell, it is about softening it, making space within it for joy, connection, and new beginnings. You do not have to let everyone in, but you do have to let yourself out. And if you are still listening, know this: the moon does not ask you to stop protecting yourself. She only asks that you stop hiding your light from yourself. Because what lives inside your shell is sacred, and it was never meant to be forgotten. At the core of Cancer's soul lies the mother, not just as a role, but as an archetype. The protector, the nurturer, the emotional heartbeat of the zodiac. But for many Cancers, this archetype is not only a source of strength, it is also the source of their deepest pain. This is the wound most keep hidden, the mother wound. Whether it came through literal abandonment, emotional neglect, or simply the absence of feeling truly seen, Cancer often grows up sensing that love must be earned, that care must be overgiven, that being too much or too little can make love disappear. These wounds do not always scream. Sometimes they show up in soft, quiet ways, always being the caretaker, never asking for help or feeling deep guilt for needing anything at all. The inner child within Cancer often learned that safety came through silence, that emotions had to be managed for others' comfort, that being loved meant being useful. So they became the fixer, the feeler, the emotional anchor. And over time, they forgot that they too deserved to be held. This is not weakness. This is a sacred adaptation. The soul of Cancer absorbed the pain around them, trying to heal what was never theirs. And in doing so, they became the mother to everyone, except themselves. But here lies the opportunity. The wound is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a deeper healing. The spiritual invitation for Cancer is to reparent the inner child, to become the very nurturer they never had, to offer themselves the love they spent their life giving to others. And this healing does not require permission from anyone else. It begins within. Find a quiet moment under the moon. Her light is your mirror. Place your hands on your heart. Close your eyes. Feel your breath and speak this out loud. I am safe to feel. I am safe to be seen. Repeat it slowly. Let each word sink into the places that once tightened at the thought of being vulnerable. Imagine your inner child hearing those words, maybe for the first time. You are not too sensitive. You are not too much. You were never meant to carry everyone's pain just to feel worthy. You are worthy simply because you exist. This is what the moon wants you to know. The mother archetype within you is powerful, but it is complete only when it includes the self. And when you begin to mother your own soul with gentleness, with patience, with fierce love, you will begin to see your shadow not as something to hide, but as something sacred to reclaim. The child within you does not need to be fixed. It only needs to be held. There's a quiet magic that only those who have grieved deeply can carry. And for Cancer, grief is not a moment, it is a sacred season the soul learns to live through. But hidden within that sorrow is a gift. The same heart that once shattered under the weight of loss becomes the vessel for profound healing. The same tears that once felt like weakness become rivers of compassion for others. Cancer's shadow does not disappear, it transforms. The sting becomes the staff. The pain becomes the potion. Take Mira, for example. She was a Cancer who always gave. The emotional rock of her family. The one everyone called in crisis. But when her mother passed suddenly, something broke open inside her. Not just from the loss, but from the realization that she had spent her whole life carrying others, hoping someone would one day carry her. For months, she withdrew, silent, untouched by comfort. Her grief wrapped around her like a tide refusing to recede. But one night, under the full moon, something shifted. She lit a candle and wrote a letter to her younger self. She wrote, "You do not need to earn love. You are not responsible for everyone's pain. You are allowed to rest." Something in her spirit exhaled. And for the first time in her life, she felt her own presence, not as a role, but as a soul. That was the beginning. She went on to become a grief counselor, guided not by textbooks, but by empathy that could only be born through lived sorrow. Her clients said she saw their pain before they named it, that she made them feel safe just by being near. This is Cancer's gift. Through pain, they become portals. Through heartbreak, they become healers. Not because they deny the shadow, but because they honor it. If you are carrying grief right now, know this. It is not the end of your story. It is the medicine your soul came here to refine. You are not broken. You are becoming. When Cancer steps into divine alignment, something extraordinary happens. The tides no longer pull them under, they rise with them. The shell remains, but it softens. The heart opens, not in fear, but in trust. This is Cancer reborn, not as the wounded nurturer, but as the sacred guardian of emotional truth. In this state, Cancer no longer gives to be needed. They give because their cup overflows. Love becomes a frequency, not a transaction. They create safe spaces not to control, but to invite healing. Their intuition sharpens, not with anxiety, but with clarity. They sense what is true, not what is feared. There are boundaries, but not walls. Transparency, but not vulnerability as a weapon. This is the awakened Cancer, the moonlit priestess, the sacred protector of what is tender and true. They walk through the world like a sanctuary in motion. People feel safe around them, not because they fix everything, but because they feel everything without drowning in it. They have made peace with the tides. They have befriended their shadow. And now they reflect the divine. To step into this version of Cancer is not a fantasy. It is a choice, a return, and it begins with intention. Here is a ritual, simple but profound. On the night of the full moon, place a glass bowl of clean water by your window or outside under the moonlight. As the light touches the surface, speak these words softly. I am a vessel of sacred love. I release what is not mine. I call back what was lost. I rise in the rhythm of my soul. Let the water charge overnight. In the morning, use it to anoint your heart space, your hands, or sprinkle it gently at the thresholds of your home. You may also add a few drops to a cleansing spray and mist your sacred space. This ritual is not just symbolic, it is energetic. It affirms your alignment with the moon, your element, and your calling. When Cancer heals, the world feels it. Homes become temples, words become spells, love becomes safe again. And if you are still here, still listening, this is not coincidence. The moon is calling you home to yourself. You were never too much. You were never too soft. You were never wrong for feeling everything so deeply it echoed through lifetimes. Because you, dear soul, were never just the waves reacting to the world. You are the ocean. You hold memory like salt in the sea, ancient, invisible, vital. You carry the laughter, the grief, the dreams of generations. You are the sacred container of feeling, and now, you are awakening. The dark side of Cancer is not a flaw. It is a mirror. It shows you where the love turned into sacrifice, where the shell became a prison, where the healer forgot to heal themselves. But now you remember. The sting, the silence, the shadows, they were never meant to define you, only to shape you. To remind you that even the deepest waters can find stillness, that even in the darkest night, the moon rises for you. So stand in that power, stand in that knowing. Feel everything and let none of it drown you. You are not just the nurturee. You are the tide that returns. You are not just the home for others. You are the sanctuary within. Take a breath. Feel the water in your body, your blood, your tears. This is your magic, your memory, your medicine. Repeat this softly to yourself or speak it into the moonlight. I honor the depth of my feeling. I trust the wisdom in my waters. And if this message touched something true within you, share it in the comments. Speak it aloud. Anchor it in the world. What part of your Cancer nature are you reclaiming today? Let your voice ripple across this sacred sea. Because healing is not about becoming something new. It is about returning to the truth of what you have always been. You are not just the waves. You are the ocean.